Thank you, Bob. Bob, thanks for inviting me this morning. Bob, Elise, Danielle, who else is here from the county chamber? Just raise your hand. Can we give them a round of applause? Staff of the county chamber, tremendous work. The small business chamber, it's really appreciated what you do every single day. Happy to be here with, I see the Mayor of Middletown here, Mayor Branner. Good to see you here. I don't know if you're in your mayoral capacity or the day job, but it's great to have you here. Welcome to the world outside of Middletown. Who's been to a state of the county before? Who's been to it? Good, it was a trick question. It's the first one. But often you can, as many of you know, in running an organization, a business, a government, you can get in a lot of trouble by just reading the news and looking at what's happened in the recent past and making judgments and decisions and budgets based on that. I mean, we could sit around and spend all day preparing for COVID, right? But that's kind of yesterday's news. And the real challenge for a lot of us is trying to see where the world is today and where it's going. So I just wanted to start by telling you a lot of what we're seeing and sort of the high level, 30,000 feet things that we see across our community that are helping us make judgments to develop the policies that impact all of you. The first is obviously inflation and related uncertainty. I don't know how many of you listened to the Daily podcast. I heard this morning they proclaimed the Great Resignation is over. Believe it or not, that the wage stagnation has ended. And particularly at the lower end of the income scale, wages have picked up in recent years. And actually, income inequality, there's some indication, this is nationally, that income inequality has shrunk a little bit in recent months in part because people were not going to work, so employers had to raise salaries to bring people back to work. Now, whether you're seeing that in your workplace or not, of course, is another story. Related to that, a lot of small business owners are struggling and making different decisions based on the interest rate environment. And we realize there are interest rate challenges and some degree of interest rate uncertainty. And the third thing that we see, I just saw yesterday when I was walking around Middletown, is serious challenges of climate change. The weather, just in the past few weeks here in our county, really reminds us that we need to understand what's going on and utilize that to help shape decision making. So with those three things in mind, I wanted to mention a couple things that we are doing, if I can find the clicker. Before I start, I should mention that a couple I don't know whether to say new hires, transitioned hires are with me, who work with me. Char Patibanda, who heads land use, many of you know she's been in economic development for a while. She has, I think, among the most diverse and extensive experience of any head of land use in our county's history, and she's actually the first person of color to head our land use department. So give Char a round of applause. And also CJ Bell moved into role, replacing the irreplaceable Char, running economic development. So if you like what I have to say today, I take all the credit, and if you have any issues, talk to CJ. He wrote this speech. So first, generally, the state of the county is strong. I think I see Steve Williams here, Avelo. How many of you have flown Avelo? So it's a good crowd. I got a trip planned to Nashville in a few weeks. It's pretty cool, the opportunities that Avelo has created, in part because of the boom in real estate market over the past few years and our conservative budgeting. Our financial picture within county government is stronger than it's been in a long, long time. When your property tax bills come out in a few weeks, there will be a property tax reduction for residential homeowners for the first time in county history, right? Whoops. And also there's the bike path up there we announced last week, thanks to tremendous collaboration with the cities of Wilmington and Newark, Will Matco, and a number of people in the room, as well as our federal delegation, Secretary Pete Buttigieg. We got the money to build a trail connecting Wilmington to Newport, and we're already working on connecting Newport to Newark. So one day, for those of you that live in the Wilmington area, you might be able to bike out to Clayton Hall to the state of the county. There we go. So I mentioned the challenges of an interest rate environment that sort of changes probably a lot of your spreadsheets. We worked with Discover Bank to create something called the Grow NCC Fund. It provides sort of more advantageous funding to small businesses in particular. There are longer loan terms, below market interest rates. So we hope that it will continue to foster innovation at a time when particularly small businesses feel the crunch of more expensive money. Related to that, we've been working really hard for years to increase opportunities for small business to take advantage of the tens of millions of dollars of contracting that county government does every year. We changed it, we made some technical changes, a bid threshold limit that we're hoping will make it easier for you and many of your peer companies to apply to do work for the county. And I believe the best thing is when taxpayers from the county are paying their tax money into the county pool, that the resources stay within the county rather than go to out-of-state or larger contractors. So look for that. We have an ordinance that we're preparing through county council that will define some of the more specific terms of the small business threshold. So again, we're doing whatever we can to connect small business with tools to scale and thrive in Newcastle County. On that note, I should mention, I just got off WDEL. Lemonade Day is this Saturday. Lemonade Day, if you go to, I think, lemonadeday.com/Wilmington, you can buy lemonade all across Newcastle County. Kids are going to be out all over the place. It's a way for kids to learn small business and for me to drink a lot of lemonade. Pay for Success. Char did a fantastic job a couple years ago putting together one of the more complex transactions that the county has ever had. What we've done is we've nearly doubled a program for mothers, first-time expectant mothers living in poverty, mothers on Medicaid who are having their first child. Children Families First has a long-standing program called Nurse Family Partnership. What we did is we had a $3 million plan to increase this program to 120 mothers. Instead of the county taking your taxpayer dollar and investing it, we went to the foundation community and said, can you fund the $3 million? And what we're going to do is we're going to hire an outside party to look at the metrics, of the program. And if the program works, we're going to pay you back your $3 million. And if the program doesn't work, you're not going to get your $3 million back. It's a small pilot that we're running to illustrate what we like to call outcomes-based budgeting, getting private groups to invest in public good. And the public only has to pay if it works. It's something that we've started. We've made tremendous progress on. Char, we're about a year, 9 months into the program with Children Families First. But I mention that because I think it's a really important model for how we can budget in all sorts of sectors, including economic development. Getting private individuals and groups and investors to invest in the public good, and if it works, if the metrics turn out well, then I and the government am happy to reimburse or even give a small return to the private investor, and if it doesn't work, the private investor made a bad investment and lost their money. I mentioned the Newport River Trail. It's a critical segment. It's kind of cool because it's something that we announced that we wanted to do 4 or 5 years ago. We didn't have the money to do it. I didn't really know how to do it. I didn't understand all the steps. We brought people together. And again, thanks to the tremendous advocacy of Senator Carper, Senator Biden, Representative Blunt Rochester, and the leadership of President Biden and Secretary Buttigieg, we're going to be breaking ground, hopefully next year, on this critical segment. It's basically a second Markel Trail from the Wilmington Riverfront connecting to the Newport Riverfront. As I mentioned, as it mentions there, it's a critical segment in connecting Wilmington to Newark by a safe, bikeable, walkable trail. It's a critical segment to what's being called a Wilmington Loop, a bikeable, walkable loop around our largest city. And it's also a critical piece of connecting Wilmington to Newcastle, Newcastle to Delaware City to Lummis Pond to Glasgow Park to Newark, and Newark to Wilmington. A big loop of walkable, bikeable trail all across Newcastle County. It's believed this is sort of the hardest and most expensive part of that trail, and we now have the resources to complete it. Finally, I wanted to mention some strategic technology investments. If you know me, that if anything, I believe in efficient government. Your interactions with county government should be as efficient as your interactions with any other institution. We're going to be announcing, I guess I shouldn't announce it here, but we're going to be announcing in a few weeks that we have surveys for constituents when they interact with our police. It's something we hope to expand to all government interactions with county government. You know, when you go to a restaurant now, you pay with a credit card, you walk out, somehow they know your email address, you get a survey, you know, how was the food, how was the service, was it clean, things like that. We have a similar survey we're developing for every interaction with county police that people are going to start to get. And again, something we're going to expand to other public safety agencies and then to library, parks, sewers, everything we do. And finally, I just wanted to mention something that we've had for a while and is saving lives. We introduced something called the Pulse Point app. Does anyone have the Pulse Point app downloaded on their phone? Great, a couple up front. Thank you, Brett. Good to see you. What it is you take a CPR class. When you take a CPR class, our paramedics offer them. Part of the class is we have you download the Pulse Point app. It's an app that if someone in another building near here called 911 with a CPR incident, my phone would go off, Brett's phone would go off, and we know that, hey, there's an opportunity to save a life. You go running out of the room, and you often can get there before our paramedics and emergency responders get there. So I encourage you to learn CPR and take advantage of the Pulse Point app. It is saving lives. We recently had a ceremony with our paramedics. Over 50 individuals last year, their lives were saved in cardiac incidences. Their heart actually stopped beating, and they left the hospital, walked out of the hospital within days, and in part because of this new technology that we're using. Sorry. Well, listen, I'm here. You guys, many of you know how to reach me. They told me not to take questions. We're on a tight schedule. But thank you so much against the Chamber for all of the investment and development you continue to do in New Castle County. It makes my budgeting a lot easier. So let's keep rolling in New Castle County in spite of headwinds that the economy may be seeing. And thank you so much.